Following the Treaty of Lahore and the Treaty of Amritsar signed in March 1846, the British sold Kashmir and Ladakh to Gulab Singh, now titled Maharaja, for the princely sum of 75 lakh. Kashmir's new Maharaja founded a new Dogra dynasty that ruled for 100 years. Monarchy was weakened by the power-sharing arrangement that Maharaja Gulab Singh had agreed to in 1846, under which the British government reduced the king's authority to domestic affairs only. Integration of the state was another challenge. Historically, it was the first time that Kashmir's majority population and the ruling dynasty belonged to different faiths. It was also the first time that the valley was ruled by someone from Jammu and the king's chief home was outside the valley. A sense of being discriminated against began to grow in the Kashmir valley. It soon acquired a communal overtone. As late as 1931, under the rule of Hari Singh, according to British records, Hindus and other educated minorities held the overwhelming majority of government jobs. Another widespread grievance was the extremely high tax rates in the state as compared with neighboring areas. On the positive side, Hari Singh undertook many socially progressive measures such as the abolition of forced labor, untouchability, child marriage, and giving and taking of dowry. By the early 20th century, the young of the state had begun to organize themselves. A slew of organizations sprang up. 3 leaders emerged from these organizations that were to have a lasting impact on the state. Chaudhry Ghulam Abbas of Jammu, Mirwais Yusuf Shah and Sheikh Abdullah from the Kashmir Valley. A Gujjar, Sheikh Muhammad Abdullah, was born into a shawl merchant's family in Sura next to Srinagar, and originally came to public attention for his sonorous chant of the Quran, from which he transitioned to passionate political orator. In Aligarh and in Lahore, where he did his graduation, he absorbed socialism as well as ideas of independence. Tutored by a Sufi scholar, the Islam he imbibed was the syncretic philosophy of Nand Rishi. He had extraordinary charisma. All 3 leaders united to establish the All Jammu and Kashmir Muslim Conference in 1932. Later, Shah and Abbas aligned with Jinnah's Muslim League, while Abdullah aligned with Gandhi and Nehru's Indian National Congress. Two opposing ideas of India had emerged by the 1920s, which crystallized in the 1930s. The first, that India was a pluralist whole, united by aspirations for democracy, freedom, and safety of religious practice. The second, that India was composed of 2 distinct nations, Hindu and Muslim, which each demanded self-rule. The combination of pluralist Islam and socialism did endear Abdullah to Nehru and the Indian National Congress. On July 13, 1931, on the orders of the Prime Minister of the Maharaja, troops opened fire on thousands of protesting Kashmiris, killing at least 21. The next few years saw widespread movements against the Dogra regime for securing greater constitutional empowerment for a more representative government. It also saw increased tension between the progressive and conservative elements of the Muslim leadership, resulting in a split of the Muslim Conference and the birth of the National Conference under Abdullah in April 1939. By 1947, the state had been dragged into the politics of British India, and the quest for independence was steadily moving towards division. With princely states given the option of ceding with either India or Pakistan, many, including the Viceroy Lord Mountbatten, assumed the Hindu Maharaja would lose no time in pledging his state to India. But Hari Singh deeply disliked the Congress which would inevitably rule independent India. While Jinnah and the Muslim League continued to woo the king, Hari Singh was worried as to what powers would he have in a Muslim homeland. Hari Singh hoped to agree on a status for Jammu and Kashmir akin to that of Switzerland, which would combine independence for the princely state with neutrality in times of neighborhood war. Abdullah also spoke of a Switzerland model for the state, but he also sought an end to monarchy. While Hari Singh deterred, a rapid sequence of events in the state forced his hand.